All right, guys, welcome back. If you are in need or want to learn MySQL and you are at beginner level, or if you just need a little refresher on how to use it, this particular training is right for you because you're going to learn a lot of helpful stuff in a very short period of time. And as you know, I don't like to waste your time. So let's get right to it and let's teach you how to use MySQL databases. So first thing what we'll do is we'll start off with what you need in terms of tools, software, and then we'll deep dive into how to create it, how to edit it, how to add it, and the whole 9 yards. So let's go. So the very first thing you will need is a local host server. There's plenty out there, but the one that I recommend and the one that I use for my local environment when I'm creating projects or working on the project is called XAMPP. I will leave a link in the description. We'll wait to download it, but you can always just Google it and it will come right up. And also I will leave a link how to install it in case you need some help and all that stuff. So once you have installed this, you will see this particular window. And let me just stop it because I already have it running. So let's just clear all this mess up. So once you have it, the first thing you're going to see is this. You want to click on the Apache, which will be your web server. And then you want to click on Start MySQL server as well. So this will run and you will have this up and running and we are good to go. So let's go ahead and click on right over here where it says admin, and this will take us to this particular screen. And this is your PHP My Admin screen. If you've never seen this before, this is very easy to navigate. So if you want to see what are your databases that you already have, by default, it comes with a few handful of databases that you could do it, but we're going to start fresh. So let's get right to it. So we're going to click over here. So let me zoom it in a little bit, make it a little easier for you to see. So I'm going to click over here where it says databases, and then we are going to go on and create our database. So we can click right over here and then name this database. I'll just call it code with mark _ volume 1 or version 1. And then I'm going to click on create database. And by the way, this is creating it through the interface. There are other ways that you can create databases and connect to them, which I will create a video. If you are interested in that, leave a comment below in which I will show you how you can use PHP, connect to the database, and then show it to your browser so you can manipulate data that way and show data to your potential clients. So now our database is created, and next thing what we want to do is create a table. So we're like, what the hell is a table, Mark, if you never heard of a database table? So let me just share with you something, the easiest way for you to understand what tables are. I'm sure everyone know what Microsoft Excel is, right? And then you have underneath the different sheets you can create. So I have sheet 1. If I click on the plus sign, sheet 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So think this whole workbook or Excel workbook as your database. And each sheet is a table. And then within this table, you will have different columns. So we have column A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And then we have rows going down. And for just like in Excel, you can specify what kind of data type you want to have in this particular room. You could do the same thing in MySQL database as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a table with only 4 columns, which will be user ID, name, email, and rec database entry, log, date, and time. So let me just go here, and then in order for us to create a table, we're just gonna, let me go back here so that way you know where we are. So we're gonna go to our databases, then we're gonna click this, and then we will see this. To create a table, we're gonna click over here, and then we'll just call it TBL1 as whatever. And you can obviously name this to be whatever your little heart desired. and then number of rows that you want to have. In this case, we are only going to have 4 rows because that's all we need. We got user ID, name, email, and record date and time. Then you're going to click on create, and next thing you will see this screen. And in here, the second column will be what kind of data type you want to assign this particular column to. So first, let me quickly just add in the data column name. So it'll be user ID, user ID, user ID, user ID. Obviously, I want to change it. So give me just a second. Let's go as name, and this will be email. And then we have record date and time. So let's look at all the different data type a column could have. So int, if you hover your mouse over it, it will tell you how many characters long it could have it. So int is basically just an integer, which means it can only have numbers with decimal points. It can go to negative or it can go to a positive 1. And then you have varchar. Basically, in layman's term, that means a text format. You could put anything in here. It could be numbers, letters, alphabet, emojis, whatever. You could put that in here. And same thing with here. The difference between this and this is that this one has a less capacity, which means it can only hold up to 65 characters. And this one can hold a little more than that. And then you have date. These are the very simple, basic one. Date is just your regular date, which would be year, month, and day. And then we can take a deep dive into it. Numeric number wise, you have tiny numbers, we have small numbers, and then what all that means is basically how big of a number your column will be able to hold. And if you worry about it, I don't know if you want to have it that big of a number, or I don't know if the table is going to grow, then blah, blah, blah. What you can do is just always, when you're creating table, just make it a big int, which means it will have a big ass number. And you would never have to worry about it. If it's a 2 million trillion number of a number that's going to go up to, it will have it. So as you can see here on the screen, it has a pretty long ass number that it can take. So I'll just leave it as big int, right? And then for the username, because obviously we want to have a numbers, text, letters, or all that stuff the person can enter, we'll make that one just a text. And then same thing for the email. And let's go down a little further and we'll go under strings. So under strings, we have different categories or different options of a text or string that we can pick. This one is only limited to 255 characters. This one is up to 65,000. And this one is also up to 255, and you get the picture, right? So if you worry like, hey, I don't want to have less space in this column in case somebody wants to write a book on it, then what I would recommend is just go with the long text, or you can just go with a long blob. This is going to let you hold up to 4 gig of text in this particular format. So if you want to do that, you get to long bulb or long text. It's the same kind of restriction. So for the sake of this particular video, I'll just leave it as text. I know this is kind of a little long-winded, but I want you to understand, because when you start to create your own table, these particular things are going to be so basic, you're not even going to understand. You'll be like, this is piece of cake, right? But if you're just learning, if you're a beginner level, this will make it easier for you to understand what each of these data type means. So for your record date and time, and this is how I abbreviate it, record, and then you have DT for date, and then TM for time. I will say go over here, then you have different options. You could just say only date, which means this particular column will only accept date. This will take a date and time, and then timestamp will be whenever you edit this particular record or a row, this will automatically update it. Why would you want to do that? There are times when you need it and there are times when you don't need it, but I will let you make the decision of that. But for right now, I'm just going to say timestamp, and you will see why shortly. And last but not least, I would highly recommend any one of your column, long as it's an int, make it a auto increment. So all you have to do in order for that to happen, you just click on this checkbox. This will become auto increment, and this indexing will become primary. So which means every single row will have a number incremented by 1. And when you are ready, all you do is click on save, and this is going to change, or rather not change, but create your table. So this is a big int up to 20 character long number. In layman's term, that is a long ass number. All right, so now that we have this, now what do you do? So if I go back to browse, I have nothing because we are in the table. So if we go back to your, let's say, main server, and then go to database, then we go to our database name called call with mark underscore v1. And under the structure, now we have a table named tbl1. And at the moment, there are 0 records. So what's the next thing that we want to do? We want to insert record to this particular table. So to do that, you probably guessed that you just click on insert here, and then you will be open with this particular screen, and then you could just literally fill in the blanks. So let's just say, I'll just call this one user 1, and notice I am not gonna put any value under user ID because we have made this auto increment, which means it will automatically increment as you enter more data. So I'm gonna copy this. I'll just put the email as that at gmail.com, and we'll also will not add any timestamp over here, which means I want to specify what the timestamp will be or the date and time will be. I'm just gonna click on go, and now this is the SQL statement that inserts the particular record. So you're like, wow, where is the damn data? Where is the entry that I just made? So we go back to our browse, and then there is the entry that we just created. So if we want to add another entry, we can now, since we are in the table view, we'll have this extra option called insert as compared to if we go back to our database. So let's just go over here, database. So we have list of tables, but we no longer have that particular insert option. We will only get that when we are in the table. So since we are in the database, if you want to insert it here, you can click on insert, or you can open the table and then click on insert. So we'll do that. So we'll just add one more entry. I'll just name this user2 at gmail.com. Why not, right? Everybody uses Gmail. And here we go. Now if you go back to the browse, still under the server database table view. So now we have 2 entries. So if we go back to our database view, this table, now it shows 2 entries. You're like, yeah, we did it. We made 2 entries, right? So let's go to browse. And now if we want to edit any one of these entries, so let's go to the first user. I'm going to click on edit. You probably noticed right over here, the timestamp is 19:37 and 15 seconds. What that means, if you don't know military time, that means 7:37 p.m. and 15 seconds. So I'll just change it. I'll put it over here, 0.1, and click on go. And now it changes to the current timestamp. Reason being is because we have this particular column to say whenever anything happens to this row, date the time to the current time that is currently right now. It's on. So since we're on the table view, we're gonna click on structure, and then the structure is gonna show you the timestamp, or the rather column data type, and it is set to the current timestamp. So if we go back, and if we do the same thing for our second user, we'll just call it 0.2, and then go, and this will also change the current timestamp. So let's say if we don't want to do that, we don't want to have every time we touch the row, this time gets updated. So we go back to our, so we are in server, database, table view, then structure, and then we are gonna click on this, or we could do it one or two ways. So we can click over here, and then change, or we can just simply say change over here. So I'm just going to do that. Change. And then we're going to change that to timestamps to date and time. Save. And now if we go back to browse, and let's say we're going to change entry number 2. And we'll say 0.21. And right now it is set to 7:40 and PM at 8 seconds. So if we go, click on go, and then there it is. It will actually change another entry. So made another entry. Did we click on insert entry or did we click on edit? So let me just go ahead and make an edit. So do this, make it 3, and then did it. I think I may have accidentally clicked on insert or something. So that's why I did. So, but nonetheless, point being, it did not change the entry type. So if I go back here, I'm just going to do it just for the hell of it one more time. So right now it's at 39:24, edit, 1, 2, and then click go. And there we go. It did not change the time stamp, or did it? Let's see, go back to the structure. No, it's still doing it. So let's go here, and then we say here, and we want to say nothing. Default will be none. Sorry, you have to click over here, date and time, and then also the default, and change it to that. So now we're gonna click on save. And these are things that you will have to troubleshoot. I'm so glad it happened. So that way, when it happens to you, you can also see it. Oh crap, what happened? So you can troubleshoot it your way, yourself as well. So right now, see right now it says no updated. So we go back to browse, and I'll just delete this part. And then go here. So right now is 41:59. And if I update it, it still becomes 49:55. So that's how you add update. So if you want to delete it, guess what you got to do? It's so easy. You probably guessed it right now. You click on this delete button. It's going to confirm it. Hey, are you sure you want to delete it? You're going to say yes. So it deletes it. Or if you want to delete all of them, you can click on this is check all, delete, and that is that, right? But I'm not going to do that. The reason being because I want to show you how you can export a table or export the whole database. So let's say if you just want to export this particular table. So from the menu up here, you go over to export, and then you can pick and choose which format you want to export out to. You could say CSV for Excel, or any other format that you want to do it. So I'll just say this one right here, and then export. It's gonna save it. I'll go over here, and then I'll go here, and then I wanna open this up. I wanna open with Excel always, and then here it is. Here is my file that it just exported out. All right, perfect. So I'm gonna close this out. No, I don't wanna save it. And next, I'll show you how you can export the whole thing in terms of database. So go over here, and then I'm gonna export out, and then I can pick and choose whether Excel, PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, Excel, CSV, so on and so forth. I'll just pick this for right now. Again, yes, leave it at that. Open this and wait for it, and then there it is. And as you probably see at the bottom, right over here, it has a database name at the bottom. If it's more than one table, then you will have other things in here as well. So that's how you pretty much navigate yourself through the databases for MySQL. I just showed you how to create a simple one, but if you follow this particular video, and if you don't understand it, rewind it, watch it again, and it will make sense. And then you follow these steps that I share with you, you will be a master at creating or managing and actually being very good at MySQL databases. And if you're wondering, Mark, that's great. Now that I know how to do that from the MyPHP, which is a GUI that I hear, but if I want to do this from a not going here, which means I don't want to log into this, I just want to have a website, then how do I manipulate this particular database by adding it, deleting it, updating it, and all that good stuff? Then guess what? I have an amazing video coming up that will teach you how to take this MySQL database, connect it with HP, and then do the CRUD operation, which will be create, delete, update, and all that stuff very, very easily. So make sure you subscribe for that particular video. And also subscribe if you would like to learn how to be really good at with technology in terms of web development or other business related technology, and you want to make your life a whole lot easier and save time. Consider subscribing to the channel. Also leave me a comment as to what would you like to see in the next video, or what information do you need that will help you with your particular job. I will be more than happy to create it. And then also there will be a link in the description for you in case you are interested. If you are a web developer and you are struggling to make any kind of income because you just don't know how to monetize your web development skill, there is a link in the description that you can take. There's a course you could take that will teach you how to monetize on your web development skills that you have. I have a 6-figure business that I'm running and it's amazing. Oh, this is just my way of sharing back to the community. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video, and happy coding.